Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. Today's guest is M. Almost, and we're going to talk about her experience in the film industry and how we met at work.
I'm actually from Southern California.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I was born in Orange.
Okay. Yeah.
Like the city of Orange.
Yeah.
And at first I thought I wanted to be like some sort of doctor or a scientist.
I thought I wanted to be a nurse too, and then I saw blood and I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to be like a brain surgeon. Like I was like, so my mom was like, oh yeah, she's gonna be a brain surgeon. And then like my junior year of high school, I was like, actually I want to do film. And
she's like, excuse me, my heart.
Yeah, she was freaking out.
It goes from like big paychecks to like, so you be a starving artist? Like,
pretty much, yeah.
No, but like I feel like that's such a stereotype, but I feel like hopefully we can break that stereotype of like, oh, you know, like if you want to pursue a career in the creative like arts, you're gonna be struggling and stuff like that. I mean, it's not easy, but like hopefully not struggling, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't be that way because that like comes from the fact that like people want you to do things for free all the time, and it's like
I've gotten that with like freelancing a lot because you know, everyone's like trying to like, you know, starting off and like trying to like, you know, give each other like credits and like work for their portfolio and stuff like that. So you're like, in the beginning you do take whatever is coming your way, but then like after a while you're like, okay guys, like I know what I'm doing now, like please pay me, like I don't want to be doing work for free. But it is awkward sometimes having that conversation for like with people that you previously worked free with or for,
right,
and then they kind of like expect that again, and you're just like, oh, sorry.
Or like I will do like if it's like a friend, like I'll do it, but like I hate when it's like some like sort of like business or like literally like
they're established and they're still trying to, they're like pulling teeth with like barely pay. I don't know, like that's like one thing where I'm like, come on, like you have, it's not like you don't have the money for it, like why are you being stingy? Like it's different when you really like don't have the money and you're like, okay, like I like really want to make this happen, but I only have like this amount of money, like can we use your resources? Like that would be like something where I'm like, okay, like I understand, like I'll help you out more. But if it's like a brand or a business or company and they've already been established and they kind of know the industry and like they've maybe been in the same spot that we've been, then it's kind of like, really, like come on, like you get it, like you should understand, like why wouldn't you want to pay for our time? Time is very important.
When they say time is money, it's like, yeah, but it's also just like time. Like it's also just your life. Like
literally.
Like it's like flying.
No.
Like,
and then like I think about this all the time when I'm in, like sitting in traffic in LA. I'm like, wow, like I'm literally just wasting 30 minutes of my life like just sitting here. Yeah. And when you put it in perspective like that, you're like, I should be getting paid like $100 an hour. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like, what?
I know. Well, I think overall we're still all making less than we should be making.
Yeah.
Like, and when you ask for what you deserve to be paid for, people are like, oh, like they're like, oh, like, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
And I feel like it's like almost like expected to like sell your soul to get like a higher, like to get that pay that you feel like you deserve. Like, oh, you want like anything over like 25 to 30 an hour, like literally work your ass off, like blood, sweat, and tears. Like I feel like it gets a little dramatic.
And I'm like, I will work hard.
Exactly. I don't mind working hard.
Yeah, I won't work hard 24/7, and that's what they want. And I'm like, that's why I had to quit my last job, was because I felt like I was constantly working, and then you get really like depressed and like,
yep,
it's so bad.
You want to feel appreciated, because if you don't, then it's like, well, why am I putting all this time and effort if like no one's like acknowledging like, hey, like good job, or like, hey, thanks for doing that, you know what I mean, like, or thanks for taking that shift, like, you know, like I know it was your day off, but like you still did. Like it's just like nice to get acknowledged, and I feel like when you do, you appreciate the company and who you work for more as well, and I think it's just like a happier work environment.
Yeah.
But I'm not a boss. I don't know. I'm just like going off of experience, but I feel like that's just like when I direct, like I feel like it's similar but different. You know what I mean? You want everyone who's like working with you to be happy and feel like respected and appreciated, because if not, then it's like they're just gonna be like, oh, like it's just like a task to, you know, do this film for you or like help you out on this film. And you don't want like to feel bad either, because I feel like you can tell when someone's just like there to get the job done and like there because they're really interested in like what's going on, you know?
Right. And like I feel like the hard thing about like film
Mm-hmm.
specifically as an art is that like it is so intensive, like, and it is so time consuming.
Yeah.
And like all art's time consuming, but it's like it's time consuming in a different way. And it's really hard to do it alone.
Oh my God, yeah. So what sparked that initial like film interest for you? Like especially if you went from like wanting to be a doctor to film, like how did that happen?
Well, so my mom was one of her bosses saw my brother, and her boss was working as like a model or something.
Okay.
And her boss was like, "Oh my God, your son's so adorable. He could be in commercials." And so my mom started taking my brother to auditions, and I would go with them on the rides and stuff. And I was like, "This seems really fun." And my brother didn't really like it, but
have you ever done an audition? Like
I ended up so the thing was like I told my mom like, "Hey, I want to do this," and then she was like. Like,
I think I did like I don't know if this is considered an audition, but I think it was like is it like Johnny Powers or like some out of Johnny Powers or something like that, like some like agency that like is supposed to like make these kids like into like Disney stars or whatever.
Right.
Like I remember like when I was younger, I had like for a second I was like, I want to be a model and actress on Disney Channel because I saw it on TV.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, come to this like address to like audition or whatever. So I made my mom take me, and all I remember is just like they wanted like the girls to like do like a runway like walk. So we're just like kind of like just walking on a fake runway, like, and then like posing at the end, and then we had to like say like a line and stuff like that. And I don't know. I just didn't like all that attention. Like it was just like all the moms and parents were like watching and just like cheering for all their kids, right? But I was like, this is weird. Like I don't know if I like it. I was like, I think I'm gonna be more behind the camera. But I didn't know behind the camera yet. Like I still thought I wanted to be in front of the camera, but I did like I feel like that was the first glimpse of like I was like, I don't know. Like I was like, I want to be in like the industry, but like I don't know if this is it, you know?
Right. Well, like that was the problem I had with it was that so like first my mom was like no because like my brother was like really like more like I felt like camera. You know what I'm saying? I was like a little caterpillar. And then also like the management company also didn't like really like. They were like, she has braces.
No.
Like,
oh my God. Who didn't have braces? I feel like everyone had braces. Like, it's almost like, oh, you didn't have braces? You know what I mean?
I'm glad I had braces.
Me too.
Mom.
No, I'm happy too. It's like, you should be happy. Like, your parents were like, we care about her mouth. We care about her teeth. We want her to look as gorgeous as she can. We'll fix her teeth.
Yeah, my teeth were like everywhere.
Oh my God. Mine were like trying to go up like the wrong way. I don't know. Yeah. So thank you for like my mom and braces.
So I was like I would go with my brother to the audition.
Yeah.
And then my oldest sister wanted to do it. And so my mom got her headshots. But then my sister decided she didn't want to do it. And then the headshot, like what she paid the photographer was like non-refundable or something. It was like a deposit or something. And I was like, like maybe I could do it. Like you already paid for it. And she was like, okay. So I like did the headshots and everything. And then I finally got like, I was going to auditions and stuff.
Yeah.
And then what I didn't like though about like what you were talking about with your experience with like kid actors, they do this whole thing where it's like not about acting.
Oh no, not at all. No,
it's weird.
I was like, what is this? Yeah, no, it felt like super weird. Like I felt like I was like in a contest or like a competition.
It's like a pageant.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like a pageant. I never did a pageant ever like growing up. I thought that was like a little like out of my comfort zone. Like I don't hate on the people that do, like cool if that's your thing, but I'm like, it wasn't my thing. But it felt very pageant, like felt very pressure, like who's the most beautiful little girl? And I'm like, I don't know, like that seems kind of like I don't know. I feel like there's more to like worry about than like who's the prettiest when you're like 8 years old. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. It was intimidating. I just was like, oh, I'm not feeling this. Okay, but what about you? You were like, I'm not feeling it.
Well, it was mostly like any sort of like acting class I took was more like how to audition, how to get the role, how to blah blah blah. It wasn't like actually like what I thought it would be, like actual acting or like I don't know, because like when you like work on like even just group projects for school, like you kind of are doing it the way that you think it would be done,
right?
But I ended up like getting this Guitar Center commercial. And
okay,
that's
cool. What was the commercial like? What did you do?
I was like playing the air guitar.
I love it.
Yeah.
Just, like,
so like in the audition they had me like play the guitar.
Yeah.
Like,
have you ever played a guitar? Like like.
Yeah, I did play like acoustic guitar, so
you had some experience like holding in. Okay.
I think that's what they were trying to make sure because like at one point you do have to like we had to play the guitar, the actual guitar. So
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But then a huge part of it was that like we're just like playing the air guitar and like the commercials like, don't these kids look like stupid? Like you should get your kid a guitar or something like that. It was funny though. I didn't like it was like I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny.
And then it was a paid gig or what? Like
yeah, it was.
Do you pocket the money or does it like go half with your mom? She's like your manager. Like how does that work, you know?
Yeah, actually so I was a kid. I was like around like 15 though. So it was 15. Like yeah.
So were you more like, oh, I'm 15, this is my money? Or were you more like, thanks mom for finding me the audition?
I honestly didn't make very much. I think it was like it was a non-union job.
Yeah.
So I feel like I ended up buying a camera.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
So actually, you know how I sent you that video? I used that camera.
From the money from the commercial?
Yeah.
Oh my god, okay.
So I got that one. And at the time, like I thought I had made a wrong decision because like I realized like a year later everyone was like shooting, like anyone our age was like shooting on like the DSLRs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got this like camcorder and I was like, fuck. I was like, why did I do that? Like this and that. But then like all of a sudden everyone's like shooting on like camcorders again and I was like, nice. Like, cause it's cool.
It's super cool. Did you know like, okay, I want to do something with like, I want to be like a DP maybe? Like when did that like transition start? Or like, you know, like when did you decide like, okay, I want to do more camera stuff or like animation or like.
Oh, okay. So what actually happened was like the first time I realized that there was a whole industry, like film industry, like into behind the scenes. I had another similar experience as you. When I was on the set of like the commercial, for some reason I thought like it would be like me and like one other person with the camera.
And just
yeah.
No, like you don't realize like how many people are there like behind the camera because obviously like whenever you see a commercial, it's literally just the actor or the actress. And then you're like, okay, and then there's probably someone holding the camera. Like that's what I used to think. I literally used to think like all there was just like the person holding the camera, a guy like with a microphone probably, and like one guy with lights. Like I literally thought we only need like one person for each thing. But like boy was I naive. Like it was just so funny when you like first walk on a set and you're just like, who are all these people? Like are they all in the film too? Are they actors? And you're like, oh no, they're helping out.
So that's why I realized that there were like 50 people there and they were like watching me. And then I found out there was like these like secret agency people that were also like whispering about me. And like, you know, because on commercials, because they have to approve everything. And they're like, we don't really like her hair, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it wasn't like a,
but
it's
like,
more like, oh, we wanted a different style.
Right.
But still, it's like,
but
that's
you hear it. Yeah. You're like, okay, thank you.
Like, it's just more, it wasn't so much like what they were saying as much as it was just the fact that people were talking about me. Like, I didn't like it and I got really freaked out.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, but then I was like, oh, I didn't realize there was like all of this going on. And that kind of like, I don't know, like excited me. I was like, I want to try and do other things. And I had already like made projects.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
Like, in school? In school. Like anytime oh my gosh, anytime a teacher was like, okay, make a poster about this and that, I was like, can I make like a video? So it was, when I first started doing that, it was mostly like just any like history class or science or whatever. But then we actually did have like it was called video journalism was what they would do.
Oh, okay.
They made like a video yearbook.
Oh, okay.
But then they started shifting into, there was like a nonprofit in our county, which was really cool. They're called Film Ed, and they did like this it was like a summer boot camp, and you'd go for like 1 week or something like that. And they'd teach you all of this honestly, it was really awesome. Like they taught us how to use
film
Final
summer
Cut.
camp almost.
Yeah.
Wait, what the heck? Where was this? Like, see, like I honestly wish I got to experience stuff like that a little bit more of like a, spend all summer like learning like the film technical stuff, and maybe I wouldn't go to school for 3 years like trying to get a bachelor's degree. Like maybe it would have changed my path because like the reason why I went to film school is because I didn't know anything about film, like how to make movies. Yeah, like obviously I knew like oh, that's a movie and that's an actress and that's a cinematographer, but I didn't know like all the different roles. Like I didn't know what a gaffer was or like a second AC or stuff like that. Like I didn't know those terms. So
Yeah.
essentially I went to school for that to like really find out like what my calling was. But I always wonder like if I maybe was exposed to the film world or like certain things like a little bit sooner, if that would have changed my path with film school or not. And then like taking a film program. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would have maybe not focused all of my like it wouldn't have been like maybe just all film. Maybe it would have been like, oh, I'm gonna just study at USC and like take a film class because I already took like a summer school or like summer camp film and like I know like all that already. I don't know. I always wonder like how things could have played out.
I feel like, but what it did for me was more so it like made me like really want to do more, if that makes sense. And they also had this like film festival. It was
Oh my
the
god,
Orange
really?
County Film Festival. Yeah, and it was really cool. And like, and then like this PSA I had made had like won in that category.
Oh shit! Okay.
And it was like kind of exciting because you're like,
yeah, wait, it's gonna uplift you. Like, oh my god, I'm, like getting recognition for this. Like, it must be good, right? Like, I must know what I'm doing.
Or it's also just like seeing something you made with like your friends, like on like a big screen. Like, is honestly like I didn't expect it to like do anything to me, but it was kind of like
I can't even imagine. That'd be so cool, especially at like at a younger age too, to see it in this like a theater in a big screen. Because like I feel that now, like when I see, I'm like, what? Really? So like back then when I was like younger, I would have literally screamed. I feel like.
Yeah.
So okay, so after high school, what did you do next?
So after I knew I wanted to go to college because I really liked school, but I was like, okay, I feel like I wanted to apply to NYU in Emerson, but then flying to the East Coast, like going to school on the East Coast was going to be too expensive. So I was like, okay.
Tell me about it. I know. Yeah. Like I feel like that's kind of everyone's dream. Like it's either like LA or New York, like for like the big like cities, entertainment. But like for me, it was LA because I was like, I feel like it's closer first of all, and I'm like, I mean, that's where all the movie magic happens.
Right. So then I applied to Chapman, which was really close to my house. Yeah, and then USC, and I was like, so I ended up applying to basically 2 schools, and I was like, if I don't get into either of those, I'll probably just go to like community college and I'll figure it out from there. Yeah. I was like, otherwise I didn't really see like, I don't know, but then that was like a lot of stress my senior year.
No, I know.
I was like,
well, they put so much freaking pressure on
do.
it. They make it such a big deal. Like, honestly, when I think back on that shit, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I literally felt like I was like too dumb for half the schools that like I didn't apply to a lot of colleges because I felt intimidated that I wouldn't get in and I didn't want to get rejected. But I feel like that's kind of stupid. Like I should have just tried. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it was so like heightened up. Like it was so over exaggerated. Like if you don't have this score, if you don't get these SAT scores, if you don't do like this amount of community service hours, like you'll never get in. And I'm just like, like no, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Like I might just go to community college and then go to film school, and that's what I did, and it worked out for me. I'm happy. Like
yeah, but they do that. I wasn't gonna apply to USC because I didn't think. First of all, I didn't think I'd get in, and then second of all, I didn't think I could afford it.
You didn't think so either? Yeah, same.
Yeah, I wasn't going to.
Those were the 2 things for me too, honestly. I didn't think I could get in, and I didn't think I could afford it.
I will say, though, like, USC...
Tell me, I want the deeds.
Yeah, USC is on all of the best film school lists, but I really don't think that, like, I don't know. I feel like in a lot of ways the actual institution, I really appreciated a lot of the classes I took. Yeah. I appreciated my professors. Yeah. Like they were genuinely like amazing people, and I'm like so glad about the people I met there. Right. Like friends for life.
Like you probably have connections for good from that school, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and also just like some of my best friends I met there, and it was just like we were all in it together, you know?
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah, but I think that like the actual institution is like honestly like a horrible place. Like I don't support it. I don't like it's crazy because when I got in, like they kind of seduce you in a way. Like they're like you're like USC is like a big deal, especially in like Southern California.
Oh my god, it's such a big deal. Like I feel like everyone who lives in SoCal, it's like if you say like you go to USC, it's like, oh damn, like you go to USC, you know?
Right. And like I don't after going there I'm
like, and I don't want to be with
I don't like it because it's like super I don't know. It's just like how do I get into it? It's like, yeah, they do kind of like seduce you at first. Like they send you this like acceptance letter and it's like on this nice paper and like you're like
it's very elite, right?
Yeah, it's
like
very elite.
You're being invited to like enter this prestige like
Yeah.
school, and it's like it makes you feel special, and it's like I feel like everybody wants to be a part of something, so it's like when you get an invitation like that, you don't want to like mess that up. You're like, yeah, I want to be included in this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're like, how do I say no?
Yeah, exactly. You're not gonna be like, no, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, oh, this is nice. Like for me, it's addressed to me as my name on it. Okay, like
Yeah,
I
your
would fall
name's
for it
literally in gold.
in
Like,
cursive, probably
yeah.
like all gorgeous. Like yeah.
So they do that, and then like they even like invited me to this like it was like it's like an alumni hosted this like they almost try and convince you to go to the school. Like they actually do try and like, or there was like an interview before that too.
Is
so
it like
I was
an
like,
open
maybe I have a
house
chance.
kind of where they try to like convince you, or is this already like you're in and then like they're
So you're already accepted, but they like have this like kind of like they try and because a lot of people who are accepted into USC get accepted to all like these other elite schools or whatever. So they're kind of trying to convince you to go to USC. So like we drove to like, and it's in Orange County. So we drove to these like rich like white people's house and like the hills of Orange County.
yeah.
And then like they have like all this like USC stuff and like looking back on it, I'm like, that's so weird. But like at the time I was like, oh, this is so cool. And they like literally had like all this like catered food and it was all these like people and they had like financial aid officers like there at the event. And so they tell you like all of this like, oh, USC is amazing, this and that. And then
your tuition's covered or FAFSA will cover it, and then bam, like student loans.
Exactly.
I'm like PTSD. This happened to me with New York Film Academy. It's no secret. Like everyone who knows, if you literally go on my Instagram or anything, you'll see that I went to the New York Film Academy.
Yeah.
So it's like obviously like you're gonna have pros and cons with every like thing that you do, but I did have a great experience at my school. It was very hands-on. It was very straightforward, which I loved. But at the same time, I do feel like the 3 years were a little dragged on. Like we didn't need the full 3 years. Like I feel like all the important stuff you learn in the first year and a half, and then the rest is just like general ed classes or like random like electives that you'll never need and stuff like that.
And you already went.
And I went to community college, and I actually I took my general ed classes, so I didn't have to do those.
Yeah.
But like they were just like random classes I had to take part of the bachelor's program. So I was taking like literature, and it was like scheduled at like 7 to 10 p.m. So it was just like really like not the right class for me. I was like, why am I taking a literature class at 10 p.m. at night? Makes no sense. I was like not focusing at all. But anyway, I was like, okay, I can get past that. It's college, it's school. You're gonna have like classes you're not gonna love that are gonna be lame, a little not lame. Sorry for all the literature lovers, a little boring, a little slower. Like literature wasn't my thing, but anyway, I was just kind of like, I can get past that. But what bothered me is like the way they handled COVID. I was a COVID-19 graduate, and I just really didn't feel like care. I don't know if cared for is the right word, but like I just kind of felt like they like were like figure it out. You know what I mean? And it kind of was like a slap in the face because it's like, damn, I'm giving you like 10 to 15,000 a semester for my tuition, and I'm also paying you 1,500 for the equipment fee every semester so that I can use the equipment. And that last semester,
and that should be included. That should be included. That's bullshit.
And I know at other film schools, like it is included.
Yeah.
So that was like weird. Like I had to pay them to use the equipment, and then on top of that, they still charged me at like during my last semester. But my last semester was all online because of COVID. So we didn't get to shoot anything. Yeah. And our thesis didn't get screened. We were supposed to have a big like Warner Brothers screening. That didn't happen. Instead, it was just like, over Zoom and stuff. And like the messed up part is like you think like, oh, we're gonna have like a Zoom showing, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't even do that. It was literally like the people in your class who had seen like your like first cut to like your final cut. So they've seen like it looking like really bad to looking good because they're in your class, right? And they're the ones giving you feedback. Yeah. So it's like we didn't even have any extra people to like watch. So it just kind of felt like so not like special. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it just felt so like whatever. And like half my classmates didn't even like really show up to like watch like to that class because they're like, oh, like it was just a class and we already like have seen each other's projects. So it was like so shitty how that went down. And like, I don't know, like it was just kind of a bummer. Like they didn't really show like they cared too much about the students. Like it almost felt like pulling teeth. Like like a lot of us had to chase after them for like answers and kind of like what the future was going to look like and stuff like that. And yeah, so it's like really sad that we ended we ended on that kind of a note, because I started so strong with it. I was so excited. I was like, this is so cool. Like such a hands-on experience, like the first week I started school, I was already at the Universal Studios backlot, like shooting
awesome.
like a mise en scene, a montage. I didn't even know what that was. And I like that week I learned it, and then we shot it at Universal.
Yeah.
So I was like, it started from that to like you're trapped in a room staring at a screen, and like, only some people have their camera on. Like it was just it changed so much, and it goes from like a hands-on experience to not hands-on at all, and like it was just weird. So I don't know, like I definitely like was a little bothered by how that went down, like especially after like paying so much money. But I feel like that school is probably not the only school that does that or is like that when it comes to things.
Right. Well, the school started doing something where, because I am very grateful that I graduated I got to walk at my graduation.
Nice.
And I did have like a full year. 2019.
19, nice.
Yeah.
Right before. I can't believe that you barely made the cut. You literally barely made the cut. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like without even knowing.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. And it's also like, and then I started seeing how USC was handling it, because you obviously like still have friends who are like younger than you or like any grade below you or whatever, or semester below you. And I thought it was I didn't like that either, because they weren't allowing people to like pause their education.
Yeah.
Or like people who were newly accepted, they didn't allow them to defer. They were like,
just got stuck paying.
Yeah, it's kind of like, that's what I'm saying. A lot of their financial practices are very like, they like seduce you and they're like, this is the best school, this blah, 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 blah. Are you really going to turn us down? You almost like are like, oh, I guess like, yeah. And then you like just sign your life away, and you're like, you're like a kid a lot of times. Like you've never even paid a bill. You've never done this. And then all of a sudden you're just
they don't teach you that shit either. Like, I mean, like, I didn't learn anything about like taxes or like opening a bank account in high school. Like I feel like that's all stuff you should know, especially like when you go to these like prestige colleges or like these big schools that are like, I don't know, throwing all this shit at you, and you're like, you want to know how to read like certain papers and contracts and stuff like that as well,
right? Or you think that like you're gonna have like you're like, oh, this will be fine, like
because you want to have that trust.
But
it's like,
no,
when is it too much trust? You know what I mean? Like. Because that's happened to me too. Because like I feel like I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be good. Like I know them, or like I've like gone, we go to the same school. But then it's like you can still get fucked over. That actually happened to me on one of my first projects. I had a producer, and I didn't know, like I didn't personally know this producer, so I had asked a friend. I was like, hey, like can you recommend someone who produces, because I need help with my like project and I don't know how to produce and all that stuff. And then I got recommended this person, and it all seemed like it was going good in the beginning, and then like the tables just like turned like towards the end of the shoot. Like basically this person would be like, hey, like this department's gonna need like $500. This department's gonna need like $600, but would never like specify why or like where these like $500 was gonna go to. Like was it gonna go on like renting equipment or like lights, or like where's it? Was just like electric 500, and then like like camera like 5, you know what I mean, like literally just like putting camera 500, but like that can mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's not like,
that's not how you budget.
That's not how you, literally that's not how you budget. It wasn't clear. And I was like, hey, like can I see the paperwork? And like every time I'd ask for it, like I would never really get it. And then like we just kept getting closer and closer to the shoot. And then he was like, oh my God, like sorry, like so many people are busy, like we're gonna have to like pay more like expensive people, because like the people who like are like would do it for cheaper are booked up. And it's because like he waited last minute for like to ask people. Like that was another thing. And I was like really bummed about that, but I didn't have a choice at that point. So I was like, okay, we're gonna have to work with whatever we have, right? So I was like, okay, already paying like people more money because he waited to ask people. And it was like a busy week that I was shooting, because everybody was shooting, like all the students were shooting, so all those people were like taken up. And then after my shoot, it was time to like pay up and stuff, and oh my God, we went so over budget. And I was just like, wait, why are people asking me for like this amount of money and this amount of, I'm like, what did you like agree to and stuff? And then he kept asking me for like, to like, he's like, oh, this is going to cost $300. You're going to have to like sending me links to like just pay for it. And I'm like, no. Or he'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
Venmo. And then I literally was like, I'm not sending you anything until I see receipts,
Yeah.
until I see where this money's going to. Because like at first I was so naive that like I did just send him like $400, and I don't know where that went. Like I don't know if he even, I don't know if he pocketed or rented something with it. But anyway, like he was basically getting away with just like not writing down where the budget would go and just like pocketing it. And I was
Oh my
pocketing it. And I was
God.
just such a naive little idiot, didn't know, and I was just like letting it happen in front of me. But you know, you learn from your mistakes, and you also know who you work well with and who you don't, and who's shady and who's not. And like that was so eye opening because that was my first movie, dude. Like my first film I was directing. I wrote and direct this like short film.
Yeah.
I was doing it in school. Thought it was gonna be super harmless. Like, you know, I was like, it's a student film. Like, what could go wrong? You know, I'm like, nothing went wrong with the actual production and shoot. Like, I got all the footage that I wanted, but the fact that someone in the circle was like shady like that on my first experience was like
Literally
so
stealing money from you.
it was so eye opening. But I feel like that was a good eye opening experience because it like made me so aware of like what could happen, and that really showed me like, damn, like even like the person you thought you could trust who was literally on your team like did that. And so
I'm so sorry.
I feel like it sounds like a really sad story, but like honestly I feel like it's made me tough. Like now I know like who I want to work with and who I don't. Trust me, I never work with that person again.
Yeah.
And that person won't even look me in the eye anymore because like they're intimidated about it. Because like call that shit out. Yeah, I was like, if you're gonna try to steal from me, like you're gonna get called out.
I'm like, say his name.
Yeah. At the time when it happened, I was like, how could this happen to me? You know, just like all heartbroken. Like,
well,
yeah,
you know? Yeah, it shouldn't have
just
happened.
like all like, you know, playing victim. Like, but I mean, I
was
you
a victim.
And that's
to a
yeah,
crime.
I was. So I was very upset. But like now, I'm like, it made me tough. Like I'm like, it's battle scars.
Oh my, yeah. So like any sort of budgeting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important to just like keep track of everything
and have that trust. Like really be like, okay, if you're really gonna bring someone on to like run your financial stuff for the film, like really trust them. You know, really have that trust with them because like it's different when you're doing it yourself. Like you're like, okay, I'm doing it, but then once you start bringing on other people, and then things can get a little sticky.
Even when I'm doing a small project by myself, I'll still keep receipts just so I can get an idea. It's like a learning thing because like a lot of the producing I've always done because I was like, okay, well, this is only like a skill that I can have, and like now it's easier for me to like see like a project that I want to make, and like I can give a pretty good rough estimate on how much it'll cost, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like I know if I like see a treatment and like it's like, oh, we're making it for this. I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna look like that. Like it's not.
Yeah,
like
I know.
It's not.
It's good that you're realistic too. Like because I feel like that was another thing that happened a lot at school too. Like people would have like this crazy expectation, but then once you actually start filming and shooting and budgeting out how much the film will actually cost, it ends up being so much money because you have to pay for all these like little things that you didn't think about, like a permit or like a student teacher if you have kids in the shoot or whatever. Like, you know, the money just starts disappearing. And so like I feel like there's a lot of like projects and stuff that like they would be like, I want to do this, but they just really didn't have the budget for it, and then it wouldn't come out as they like imagined because like which is it's hard to bite that too because like it happened like for me I didn't struggle with that. It was more like, how do I fit my story like in 15 minutes? I always like had so much to say and tell. Like I always wanted to like squeeze more in. Like I could never just like, it was so hard for me to like cut it down to 15 minutes or like 10 minutes. I always was like, I can make it 20, you know? But I was like, I learned throughout film school that you don't need all this extra stuff. Like as long as it like really drives the next scene, like it makes sense, that's what you need. Not like random footage that just like doesn't really add much to the story, which at first I feel like is a hard thing to like swallow when you're like directing or even like DPing because you're like, this shot is so nice, I want to have it in there, you know what I mean? But if it doesn't really add to the story do much, then it's like, do you really need it? And my like teachers would be like, no, you can cut that whole last part out, and I'm like,
Right.
But now I'm like, yeah, we don't need that. I'm like, the audience is smart enough to get it. Like, it's just so funny how things change. Because before, I'd literally be like writing it all out, like the character would be saying it, and now I'm like, less is more. Like, let the audience figure it out.
There is this one term that like some of our professors would use. It's called like drowning your babies.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
aggressive.
Yeah, but like that is the point because it does, like, sometimes when you're letting go of a shot you really like, or like an idea you're like, maybe an idea that literally was like one of the foundational ideas and people are telling you to cut it out. It feels like, honestly, like it, like you can get like pissed off, right? Like you can be like, it can hurt, like
it can hurt, but you have to also be able to handle the criticism. But honestly, film school did like toughen me up with that. Like I was just like, like not everyone's gonna like your story, not everyone's gonna like this, not everyone, but like I also started to understand, like, it's not, like, because they're, like, trying to critique you or trying to be mean. It's just, like, they're really trying to help better your story. And, like, maybe sometimes someone else could think of something or, like, something else came to mind that, like, you just couldn't think of, but it, like, adds, like, it was that extra cherry on top that you needed in that scene or something. So it was cool how, like, it changed for me, too. Because at first I was just, like, oh, intimidated, like, I don't want everyone in the class like read my script and then like give me notes on it. Like that's so awkward.
Yeah.
But then like by the end of the program, I was like, read my shit. Like tell me what to change. Like I loved it. I was like, tell me. I was like, I want to know if this is the best it can be. Like it almost changed where I'm like, I was like, damn, I have like 10 creative brains in here. I'm like, if they can all like add some more juicy details in my script, let's do it.
Exactly. And I feel like with directing, it's like a balance because you're kind of like you want to, because sometimes it's hard because let's say you're writing something and you have this whole picture in your mind, you like know what everything looks like, you know it all, and it's just hard.
I'm like, stop calling me out. No,
it's hard to know what other, because people don't have this context, and then so it's just kind of like, but then also it's that thing where you don't want to give too much, so you don't want to confuse, and you also don't want to like condescend to the audience.
Right now, like if you're like, okay, what do you want to pursue in the film industry? What is your go-to right now?
So I actually, the way I started to think about like my work is differently now. Okay. So I'm not, after like spending so many years in the film industry, I realized that I actually just enjoy like telling stories in general. So lately I've actually, for a while since the pandemic, actually, I started working on a book. Like I've been working on this like, it kind of like a comic book, but it's kind of like also like, it's just like a story. And
why like where did the comic come from? That's so cool.
I feel like when I was a kid, I used to draw a lot, and I used to.
So you know how to draw pretty well. Pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He's like, I can't draw to say like I'm stick figures all the way. So like for me, like if I can't even imagine if I made a comic book or like anything illustrated, you'd be like, what is this?
But I think that like the way that like even stick figures, like you know, like Pop Tropica, that game, like that style of art is like very amazing, and like it is a stick figure art. Like that. But you know that's what I'm saying. Where like it can be like simple, but if it has like a certain style, or like if it's like, I don't know, something that like. A class, okay, I talk so much shit about USC, but I also, like, learned so much there.
Well, that's like, I mean, I said the same thing with New York Film Academy. Yeah. Like, there's so much to talk shit about, but, hey, I'm still gonna give it its credit. Like, I learned a shit ton from New York Film Academy. And, like, USC is just one of those situations, too. It's like, you learned a lot, but there's gonna be some shit that USC did where you're like, nah, could have done better.
Yeah, especially all their controversies, but I won't get into that.
That's for another episode.
And all the ways they fucked me over personally. But anyways.
Oh, shit. I mean, we got time.
I'm writing a book, and I'm also working on a short.
Okay. Amazing. Yeah. Are you're writing and directing it, or what?
So I'm actually writing it with Imani, actually.
Oh my God.
Nathaniel. Yeah.
She'll be on the podcast one day as well, so just look out for her.
Yeah, and she's gonna, so I'm directing it, but we're writing it together.
I love that. That. Oh my God. Wait, are you allowed to talk about, like, kind of what it's about yet? Or is it still a secret? It's okay if it is. I'm just curious.
I feel like it's still,
No, okay.
For now, at least.
She'll come back and we'll talk about it. No, but that's so exciting because, for those who don't know, Imani's our coworker. Mm-hmm. Also, for those who don't know, we're coworkers as well, obviously. She works at Santa Set with me. I actually did a whole episode on like getting a job and like all that because people who have like been with me on this podcast journey,
Yeah.
it's been almost a year now. We're gonna hit a year in like 2 weeks. So yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm gonna like have season 2 soon. So I'm gonna like go to season 2, take a little 2-week break and revamp this like whole corner and try to like make this more comfy and like just like try to like, you know, try to give it its max potential. But I'm excited because basically, I don't know, like when I started, it was just like a fun little like, let's keep my mind like fresh and active during COVID. So I'm still thinking about film stuff and all of that. And that's kind of how it started. And then it just snowballed into, you know, being able to interview like people I've worked with on different sets, coworkers, like my friends, like family members, whoever who's like done anything and their experience in the industry has been able to like come on and talk on here. And it's been like really cool and eye-opening because I'm like, I never would have thought like I could have gotten all this like experience and like connections and like relationships through this podcast. Because like a year ago I was just like, I'm just bored. I don't want to forget everything that I've learned. I want to stay like fresh and like, you know, like keep it actively going in my mind. So that's why I did it. So it's just like funny that we're still here, but we're still in COVID, but still doing the podcast. We're still continuing. But yeah, so when I documented my episode of getting a job, I'm sure everybody was like, finally, like she literally has been like looking for a job this whole time. Because I was literally showing, I was like telling my frustration. I was just like, I literally had days where I was like, I'm gonna cry. Like I was like, when am I gonna find a job? Just because freelancing was so on and off, and it was just like 1 month was busy, 1 month was eating air, so it was like really stressful. So when I found Santa Set, I was really like happy and like so excited. I'm a little like tired and worn out now, but still like very thankful I have a job and have that income coming in, and also being able to meet you, Imani, Brooke. Like it's just like cool to be able to like meet more film people because like our jobs mix with like film industry people and also like I would say medical, like the medical field.
Yeah.
Because we got like, people like we got nurses.
It's like phlebotomist.
Yeah.
Right?
Such a tongue twister. And it's just like EMTs sometimes too, like. And like I just like talk to them at work, and it's just like cool, like who has like similar interests, who's there for like medical stuff, who's there for the industry. So when we started talking on my very first day, literally the first day, I was all lost. Like, hey, like I'm here, like what do I do? And the first set that we were working on, I don't know if I can say much about it, but it was a big production, and I was like, I had no idea because I didn't know the extent of like our company. Like I didn't know they had big clients like that.
Right.
So I like just thought like we were gonna be doing testing on like a, I don't know, like an independent, like low budget set, which I was like, cool, like still gonna be like around like that scene and stuff. So when we pull up and it wasn't like that at all, I was like, excuse me, like what is this? And then there was like a line and like all these people and like, you know, I was just kind of like shadowing you guys, like trying to like understand what was happening. But honestly, I'm like, I always give credit to you and Brooke because I'm like, if they weren't there that day, like, who knows, like, what would have happened? Like, they literally, like, I feel like you guys trained me, like, fully. Like, I got all my, like, information and knowledge definitely from you guys because I only got an hour training the day before. So, like, it was definitely you guys. So, yay!
Yeah, I'm super grateful for this job.
I know, isn't it cool?
I was working on set for, like, 2 years and, like, it just, like, wasn't, I don't know. It was like, for me, it was like, honestly, the whole IATSE movement was super eye-opening for me because I was like, I've had too many close calls where I've been like driving like after like 20-hour days where like I was like literally like, I really hope I make it home. And like, I was like, I feel like I've had too many close calls at this point. Like something's bound to happen. And like, my life is not worth this anymore. And it's also like, I was like, I need something where, and like I said, like how I started to feel within the last year is like after being in the film industry, I'm like, it's kind of like, I mean, there's a whole, I'm not saying this is all of it, but it's such a privilege to be able to make a movie because like we talked about, like so expensive, so this and that. But I also think that it doesn't have to be that way. And like, you can also just make things like with your friends and they can still be great, you know? It's like more about like your idea and your actual directing. So like, I was like, why am I like spending all of this energy and all of my life for for like someone else, and like they're also not even paying me enough to do that. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, if you want me to give my life away,
You're
like,
you want me to sell my soul?
show me the money, yeah, because like otherwise, like, no, like,
no, yeah.
But
I'm glad that you found like you feel appreciated at this job too, that our job right now, because like nothing's worse than just like I feel like if you're used to it, like if it keeps happening back to back, like I feel like you start to like normalize it. You're like, oh my god, like this is what it's like. You know what I mean?
Like I like just did not expect to meet all the people that I did
too.
and like fall in love with everyone.
I was like, wait, I love with you. I like you.
Yeah. I was like, what is it about this job that is just like attracting like my favorite people?
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of like someone who briefly was working.
Yeah.
I don't want to say her name, but she said because she got another job that was like her dream job or whatever. So like,
amazing, good for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she didn't stay very long, but like when she met everyone there, she like she described it as like an island of like misfit toys, and I was like, yes, like I was like, we're all little toys. We're all on this little island, and we're all just like having a good time. Yeah,
I love it. Party island. No, you know, everyone's so sweet. Like I feel like that was like one thing that made me feel like super comfortable and welcomed like right away, because everybody was like so okay and accepting of like, hey, if you need help, like let me know, I got you, like I can help you. And I was like, it wasn't like scary to ask for help or ask questions.
Yeah,
I'm already not someone that like gets like intimidated by that, because I'm like, I don't want to like be doing it wrong, so I'd rather just ask like a lot of questions and seem annoying versus doing it wrong and not look like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'd rather have it be like that. So, you know, I was like, oh, I hope they don't get annoyed with all my questions and stuff. But like, no, it was like totally normal. So I was like, cool, I fit in.
The thing about questions, I feel like when I was working in the film industry, you work with so many people that like literally like get so mad at you if you ask a question, but also get so mad at you if you don't ask a question. There's like no winning.
No.
And like when you're like bracing to ask someone a question, like I look back on that and I'm like, whoa, like that's not okay. Like like you're there like you're like, okay, I'm gonna ask this person this question. You're like breathing in and out, and you're like, okay, like that's not like it shouldn't be like that's what I'm saying. And it's not like that with everyone. Like I have really great people I worked with as well, but like it was just the hours at the end of the day.
I mean, I think like when you're not in the film industry and you hear like you work 12-hour days, like it's intense, you know?
Yeah.
Like my mom's always like, that's a long time. Like why 12? Like, cause you know, I feel like most people work like 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours. So it's like, for me, like, you know, when you say like, oh yeah, 10 to 12, pretty normal. It's like, no. And then like going overtime is just so normalized in the industry too, that I'm just like, damn, that's so crazy. Like for like, in the future though, when you're trying to be more serious and like maybe you don't want to be putting in 12 hours of work, but you like still have to, because like when I'm on these sets like doing the testing, like the crew members, they're like, you know, all the way from like 18 to like 80. Honestly, one of those people I've tested on set was 80. And it's like they're still putting in 12-hour days.
I don't know how they do it.
How the fuck do they do that?
I don't know, honestly. A lot of times I'm like, it has to be
like, do you have to love it?
You have to be on drugs.
You have to love it. Like, you have to be on drugs.
You have to be on drugs because, like, I was doing it, like, even, like, and I'm not supposed to be at, like, my prime health. Like, I'm like, okay, prime health, prime this and that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I was drinking, like, I was drinking a lot of caffeine. I had a really bad, like, caffeine problem. Like, I was just doing
you get a caffeine addiction on set. Like, I never used to drink coffee. I drink coffee now.
Yeah.
Like, for work, like, on set. Like, I literally have these crazy call times, like, 4 a.m. I'm like, I'm definitely not a morning person. So it's like, if you want me to be a functional morning person, I need to have coffee.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy because I literally started from like, oh yeah, like I don't drink coffee to now I'm like, where's the coffee? Like, crazy how that changed.
Or you're like randomly just sitting and you're like, coffee. And
you're
like, okay. And you're like,
no, I was
just like
shaking in the car and
like,
I was craving Starbucks. Never in my life did I ever used to crave Starbucks. And the fact that I was craving a Starbucks coffee, I literally was like scared for myself. I was like, what's happening? I was like, who am I?
And it's like, you don't need like, and that was the thing, is like coffee can only go so far. And then like I would have the same experience where like my coworkers, I was like worried about them. Like, and they're like, if they were older, I'm like, how are they? I don't understand. And I was like, like, because I'm at my, like people
Yeah.
start, like, I started getting delirious towards the end of jobs. Like, I would be like, and I would spend a lot of money on like stupid mistakes I'd make. Like, I'd leave my keys stuck in my car all the time. Like,
Really?
yeah, and I was like,
Because you're just so tired, you're not
you're
thinking.
so tired.
Yeah.
And then, and not only that, it was like, yeah, so I would end up spending more money on these like stupid mistakes I was getting because I was like delirious. And then like sometimes like towards the end of a shoot, like literally people would break into fights. Like that would happen. And it was just kind of like
On set?
yeah,
Oh my
on
God.
set because
Like,
people
just
are
like
so
verbal
tired.
fights or like.
Yeah, sometimes yeah, verbal. Like, well, and then it was like, and like before when I first started working at the job, I was like, you know, people would get really like snippy towards the end and like very hurtful sometimes. And then I started to realize like, whoa, everyone's just so tired that we're all like in this like we're all like working, carrying these like heavy things, like, and we're all just so exhausted. So like that's why people
And
are
when you're
acting that
exhausted,
way.
you're gonna be bitchy. Like, I mean, I know
Yeah.
I am. Like, when I get lack of sleep, like I'm like more moody and I'm like snappy. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to be like. I feel bad
No.
when I like do, but I'm just like so tired. I'm like, oh, lack of sleep. You know, and it's like when you start doing it every day and it becomes routine, like it's almost like you're a routine grouch now because like you don't even
Yeah.
notice it. You know, it's just like you're just like doing it every day and you're like, this is me now. Like, whatever. But like, you know,
This
we
is
have
me now, like, literally.
yeah,
It's
it's like you have to be aware of it, but it's like sometimes you're not because like it doesn't end. Like you're just constantly doing it, and then you're just like in this like unhealthy cycle, and you're like, oh shit.
yeah, and the one thing I was like, oh, like at least I get to choose my schedule. But I was like, was I? And then when I had this like when I actually started to like, I was like, wait a sec,
Wait a second,
what is happening? Like, how have I spent my time these past? And I was like, no, like this is not true because on my days off, I'm literally just recovering. Like sometimes you would get sick after a job because you've been working so much, and I'm like, this is inhumane.
That's so unhealthy.
Like, why are people are like, oh, we simply can't. This is how the film industry has always been.
That's
and
the
I'm
problem. Like they keep using that. This is how it's been. Like, okay, I'm gonna like stop you right there. It's like everything is evolving every single day. Every day we're adapting to like new shit. Shit, look how much we've adapted because of COVID.
Yeah.
So it's like, how are you gonna tell me that we're gonna be doing the same old school shit because it's been like that in the film industry for 100 years? I'm like, we change every day. Like things are changing all the time. So it's like, why is the film industry not adapting? You know?
Right.
Like,
and like,
hello. Someone there.
I like want to like sometimes
Shake
I
someone.
just like literally grab their face and I'm like I'm really sorry for what they've done to you, but this is not normal. Like I feel like I was in a horror movie. Like I was just
And you
like,
survived, right? You're like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm the last girl.
Yeah.
Right? That's like I'm the last girl. I'm like I'm just like no, but literally like and it really does suck because I miss a lot of the people I used to work with. I really cared about them and like. But and I know like a lot of like a lot of stuff that happened. I was like, we were all just literally like you know how like hanger is a thing.
Yeah,
it's like hanger. I'm like totally. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Like I just was looking around on the last job I was on, and I was like, I feel horrible. Like I feel physically
so
like
sad.
Terrible.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know when people say like yeah this is just how it's been, or even like I don't know like
that's so sad though. Like we're literally just normalizing because like, oh, this is how it's been, but it's like even if this is how it's been is bad, like and we're just still like letting it continue.
Exactly.
So I'm really curious to see like if I mean now with like this whole Instagram thing and them literally sending in their posts and you can like read people's experiences, like it's so raw, and it like I've never like had such insight, I feel like, you know. And now we all like, not just me and you, but like anyone who's on Instagram and is interested like on how people, crew members and stuff are being treated in the film industry, they can literally go on there and check and, you know, be a part of it and like feel like, damn, like that's not right, you know. Like these people are like, it's not like these film industry people are like all young people, and even if we all are young, it's not really fair to like just slave them for 12 hours, honestly. Like, and it's just like, that's the crazy part is like a lot of these big sets, like they're people who have had a lot of experience, so they're like a little bit older, so it's like, damn, you're even like, it's like crazy to think even when you're like 50 years old, you're still gonna be working your ass off like that. Like there's like, you're not like ever gonna just be like, yeah, I worked my ass off like when I was in my 20s, like, but now I can like chill and like work
Exactly.
8 hours on set. Like, nope,
Mhm.
you're gonna be 55 years old and still working 12 hours, going overtime, and maybe not get a lunch break.
Oh,
That's
what I'm saying.
insane.
Like, and also, I remember the first time I was on a commercial set and I saw them like shooting something vertically, and I was like, "What's going on?" And they were like,
What's going on?
I was like, "Wait a second." And they were like, "Oh yeah, this is like a mobile commercial," and I was like, "Oh yeah, everything's changing from now on," and
Yeah.
like it really has. Like,
Yeah.
and a lot of it, unfortunately, has been in the way that they treat people.
Yeah.
And also like, and you would think that like this whole like, well, I guess now it's not news that like social media is like actually this really like
Toxic.
kind of this monster.
It's
yeah,
toxic as fuck.
it's
yeah.
a monster.
It's literally.
It's also a new drug.
People.
It's
Yeah.
a new addiction.
I'm
addicted.
an addiction.
Yeah.
Who isn't addicted?
Yeah.
If like anybody watching this is trying to claim like, no, I'm not addicted, that's a fucking lie. Like,
Yeah.
even
you're
if you're
in denial. First step.
Even if you're not addicted to Instagram, you're
Yeah.
addicted to your phone. Like,
Yeah.
how many times do you pick that shit up, check it, like, check the time? How many times are you like, oh, like, someone called me, check. Like, literally, I'm like, oh, I always check my phone, and I'm like, no one called me in the 5 minutes from when I last checked it.
Everyone has like a different poison too, like when it comes to social media, and it's also like,
right.
Well, and then the other thing is that like,
but I feel like you have to be aware of it. Like,
yeah,
like, I feel like there's definitely things where I'm like, you need to chill with that. You need to like take a breather, but like, I'm aware of it. Not saying that like I've stopped myself from doing it, but I'm like, okay, I know that like I should probably like do a social media cleanse.
right.
But it's also really hard when like doing like this kind of stuff, like podcasting, directing, because like it's everything's so social media now, so it's like hard to detach, because like if I detach, then I can't promote the podcast episode, right? So then it's like I'm losing viewers and listeners, and that like affects my brand, right? And it's like it kind of, it's all like connected in like a crazy way that it's like, even though I want to do a cleanse and like, you know, not look at my phone for like a week, it's like, but then I'm missing my like regular posts I'm supposed to be doing to like stay consistent. So it's literally just like this toxic chain reaction.
Well, it's like capitalism too, where you're like, I don't want to be doing this, but I'm gonna keep doing it because I have to do it. Because like, what other choice do I have? I don't know. There's always those people that are like, oh really? I don't even check my phone, and I'm like, good for you. Like,
honestly,
I'm like, you want a round of applause?
Yeah, like good for you. People that are like, I don't have Instagram, and I'm like, oh really?
I honestly, social media breaks, because like it's so crazy, because Instagram's like was like is known for causing like body image issues. And like,
I mean, that's literally why they got rid of the likes, and like you can turn off commenting too, so it's like people don't feel shitty about themselves. I mean, I honestly took off my likes too, because I was like, I don't want to keep comparing it to like other people, and then I also don't want to feel bad about myself, like, oh, like this picture of me in a bikini got more likes than this little short film that I posted. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, I try not to take it personal, but at the same time, it's like, how do you not take it personal? It's like, damn, my body's always going to get more likes than my work. That's what it seems like. Yeah. But I'm like, I'm going to prove that wrong. One day I'm going to prove it wrong. Yeah. One day I'm going to get more likes than my body.
Well, no, and then that's the other thing, is that it messes with your mind, because like before, like, I miss Facebook, honestly, in the old, like when it first started. It was like me and like 10 of my best friends. Yeah. And you'd post on your wall.
It
was
make almost a little status.
Yeah.
You're like feeling happy.
You're like, I have so much math.
So much homework.
Feeling tired. Like,
I literally like, who wants to hang out this weekend?
And then like it just suddenly evolved into, first of all, a propaganda machine. Yeah. But then another thing is like with Instagram or like TikTok or whatever, like they literally are like, it's not like before, the way a timeline used to work is it was a timeline. Like it would go based on what your time, like what posted.
And now it's just like algorithm and bullshit.
Algorithm. So they're gonna push your body versus like your work. You know what I'm saying? So
which
like
is so stupid.
So, and then it messes with you, because then you're like taking it like you said, like you're like, but it's like, it also could just be the algorithm, or like you just like, I don't know. It's like, it's so messed up. It's the best feeling though when like you finish a project and you like sit back and then you just watch it.
Did that.
You're like in the dark in your room.
In the dark.
Like, when it's just finally realized and you finally like, it's like you got it out of here, because it's like, I don't know, for me, like, people close their eyes and they see things, but for me, I just, like, zone out, and then I see it, like, almost, like, on this, like, here.
Me
and then
too. I
right?
see it like that too.
I don't close my eyes.
I don't close my eyes.
It doesn't help me.
No, I see it like it's in front of me.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like if like my brain, like if there's a projector in there
Yeah.
and it's like projecting the images like right here, and I'm like envisioning it. Like
Yeah.
I see it happening. Like it's almost like a movie. Like
Yeah.
my brain really thinks like a movie. Like when I see things from even for myself happening, like I'm like, this is gonna, like I'm gonna manifest this for myself,
Mhm.
and I can imagine it. Or like I think of a movie idea and I literally like see the film like projector style. So I totally get it. I feel like I see it the exact same way. It's interesting. People are like, okay, like I can't even imagine like just being like with my eyes closed.
I can't when I close when people are like
I just see
creative
black.
exercises. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, I
I'm
don't
like,
see anything.
okay, like, but if I'm like, actually, driving is really good for me.
Oh my god,
yeah, because I'm like driving and then I'm like mixing
honestly,
exits. But
driving, the shower,
yeah,
and putting on makeup. Those I think those are the 3 times where I just have a lot of like where I'm just like not thinking about other stuff. I'm just like, you know, like putting shampoo in and I'm like scratching my head and I'm like, you know, it'd be a good idea, you know, like, and I'm like, oh, it feels good too, by the way. Or like when I'm, you know, doing my makeup, I'm like doing my eyebrow, and I'm like, that would be really interesting.
Right. Yeah, it's like that kind of like you're doing an activity, but you're not like.
It was just great talking to you, and if you want to throw out any social media stuff for people to follow or check out your work, your website.
Yeah, I have a website. It's emilyolmos.com. It's just my name. I also have an Instagram. It's I prefer to be called M_Olmos. Yes, everything's on my website.
Cool.
I mostly post things on my Instagram, and I'm trying to find out how I should distribute my book when it's done.
Oh
so
my god!
we'll
You have to when you write your comic book, you have to come on here and we have to talk about it. Like, this is gonna be the first time you talk about it.
Yeah, now I'm being
exclusive.
See, I told you so I can be held accountable.
Yeah.
Now.
Now everyone's gonna hold you accountable. Like you told the podcast, like you're doing it. It's happening now. So
well, it's happening, and
it's happening, and we're gonna do a follow-up episode, and then you'll know more about it. And hopefully, we're gonna know more about that script she's writing with Amani, but secret for now. So stay tuned. Bye.